Alright. So today we're going to be talking about integers, floats, and variables. Just to start us off, integers and floats are two different kinds of numerical data. An integer, more commonly called an int, is a number without a decimal point. A float is a floating point number, which means it is a number that has a decimal place, right? Number like 46.23. Variables can store different types of data, including integers and floats. So variables can have strings as well, like this. So let's just get into it. This is the results of the code that I ran, but for now we're not gonna look at that. I'm gonna explain what's going on over here, right? So I created a variable called a and stored an integer value, which is 75, which the whole, remember the definition of integer, it has no decimal point, just a whole number. So a is 75, and the thing is print. It will print. We talked about printing in the previous video. It will print um, this sentence. The value of a is, and then it'll print the value of a, 75. And then next, we check the type of data stored in the variable a. It is basically printing whether it's an integer or a string or a float, right? So it will print the type of A is, whatever type A is. Then I create a variable called B and stored a float value. As you can see, B equals float A. It will say print the value of B is, and then it'll print the value of B, whatever it may be, right? And then hashtag check the type of data stored in B. Basically the same thing as checking with A. It'll just check the type um, that B is. Sorry. Then I create a variable called percip float and stored a float value. And percip float is 46.23, and it will print the value of percip float is, and then uh, it'll print that. It'll be this number, right? Then we check the type of data stored in percip float, my variable, and it'll, the same thing. Variable called and stored an integer value. Same thing over again, equals integer. Value of percip int is percip int, whatever that may be. Then it'll check the type again, you know, uh, create a variable called location and see. Now here goes the string values. Like I said, I meant to type it here. Strings as well. Sorry, y'all. Floats. Right. So we can also do strings. The location is New York City. This is a string right here. New York City, that's a string. It's just regular words in parentheses. And then check the type of data stored in location. Right. So I'm just gonna show you how this all ended up. Control Enter. And see, as we said, the value of A is 75. That's codes like this code right here. That's the first part. And then 8, 9, that's the second line. The type it is. 12 and 13, that's the third line. The value of B is, right? This right here, the fourth line. No, it's not. I lied. I lied to you guys. Sorry. Hold on. Fourth line. Sorry, I did not have my glasses on. Yeah, so the value would be, yeah, third line is this, fourth line is this, fifth line is this, everything is corresponding. So this percip float is what this is right here, this value. Then it shows the type, the class, and it's a float. And the value of percip int is 46. See, it's basically just uh, rounding. Like this int part will make whatever percip float was into an integer. So we'll round to the nearest whole number, right? And that's a very important part to know. Because if I let's just say I did this and I put a. Well, no. Oh no, actually, I didn't prepare for that. But let's say just any other number that was a decimal. I could put that in here. I could put int times well, not times, parentheses, and another variable in here that held a float value. It would make it into an integer, and it would print the value of blah 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 is the new one, which is an integer. That's what we have as percip int. And with the strings, simple here. Basically the same process, but with a string. You're not changing anything into an integer, of course. Create a variable called location and store string value. Just have our variable location, and the value of location is New York City. And then the type is a string, and that's all it is. So that is the lesson for today. Get you guys in the next part. We'll get a little bit more in tune with functions.